Good afternoon, everyone. And first, I'd like to say thank you to my new subscribers. And I do promise you that the videos will get better. I'm just learning my footing and I am not showing the videos in like the best way, but I'm learning right now to just start with something. And so hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have something a little bit better in terms of how I shoot the videos. And everyone has been talking about the DJ Envy and some people call him Cesar Pina, but I heard another pronunciation of Cesar Pina. Now, here's my thoughts on it. This particular video was made by a gentleman, LTTV. So it's LTTV. And this is from, I believe, a News 4 um, clip, or they were talking about the story and he took the video and others, I guess, and kind of made one regarding everything that was going on, and this is probably one of the better ones. So in the midst of the video, someone was making a comment. One of the gentlemen who has been tracking this story for everyone and outing DJ Envy and Caesar for obvious fraud made a comment regarding, they showed, I guess, his banking or financial records, and the estimated amount was about 80 million, I guess, from the time they started. There is so much I want to touch on, and I will touch on the rest in another video. But this particular part I wanted to speak about because he was saying that in this particular video, I'm only going to address that, and I'll address my thought process regarding it all, probably in the next couple of days. But he made a comment about, you have all of this money, you've made all of this money up until, I guess, till about the 80 million mark, or to when it all fell apart. And they had a clip of his wife, Caesar's wife, making a comment about, there are no, I guess, yachts and etc. So we don't, that's not what this was about, or and so forth and so on. So we're not going to get into at this moment all of the ins and outs about how ridiculous it is for Mr. Envy to not, or his stage name, quote unquote, to have not known anything and all of that type of stuff. That's a whole nother can of worms. But he was saying, he was showing how he had apparently defaulted on cars and houses, and or his house, in regards to all of his assets, cars, home, or whatever, and how he was, basically the records show that he didn't pay any bills. And this gentleman wanted to know is, how do you embezzle all of that money and all of your stuff is in default, things getting repossessed. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but based on some records they were showing on screen, apparently he wanted to know, how did you get all of this money from people, but the records are showing that you haven't paid your mortgage or car notes, etc., etc. And that was a stupid thing to do. And obviously, you can't be very smart and so forth. So I won't take that from him. I'm not going to go in on that particular commentary because I'm sure he's a very smart, intelligent man. This is only coming from my perspective only. And I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I do not condone what they did, obviously, but I'm going to look at it from the perspective of, if people will say, how smart can you be to get all of that money? And we are seeing now that you are pretty much MIA, that you haven't been paying your bills on this, that, and the other. Wow, who does that? Who does that? Well, a smart man, and let me tell you why. First of all, when one of the clips, when they showed Mr. Caesar or Cesar on the Breakfast Club, and he stated how he had gotten locked up, and people told him, "Oh, you're not going to have anything. You're not going to go anywhere." And I came out of prison, and look at me now. So we won't even go into the fact that nobody on who was interviewing him, or I'm assuming that because DJ Envy was the one who was tied to him, that DJ Envy was the one who was asking the questions. I did not look at any of the videos in full when they were interviewing Mr. Caesar. But I will say this. If you get on TV and tell people that you now flip and you're now into real estate and you've been in prison and you came out and people didn't believe in you, those things are neither here nor there, because people come out of prison for whatever reason and do extremely well. Everybody's not a crook or a criminal when they come out. So my comment on that is not based on that. But the fact that he didn't even say, what did you go in for? And how he didn't tell his story about how he got to the point or got into the business. I didn't hear anything in clips or anything about them saying, okay, so you went to prison. Were you taking classes in prison? When you came out, were you taking courses? How did you get from there to getting out? And now you are flipping houses and doing all of these things with no resume, no nothing. Nobody asked for a resume. Nobody said anything about what school did you go to? Did you take classes? Who did you learn from? Nothing. This man came out of literally nowhere under the wing of DJ Envy in regards to knowing who he is on this particular kind of platform, and not a platform that people in which people didn't know him initially, because apparently he had been doing it for a while. And I guess being on a platform with DJ Envy allowed him to get, I guess, more people, um in whatever way that is. I don't even know how long this been going on with him. So with all of that in me saying, I feel like I made a comment in the comment section under LTTV, um that I feel like Mr. Caesar was very intelligent, because when you hear about most Ponzi schemes or schemes in which people are taking people's money, they are living a lavish lifestyle. They're going on trips, they're buying cars and houses. Someone had made a comment in one of the videos that the day, I think they said that it came out that there was one allegation of fraud or whatever, or something in regards to around the time when Envy, something had happened, and they were saying that very same day, another YouTube station, and made a comment about him showing a whole fleet of cars that he had just bought, him showing cars. And all of these cars, and they thought it was strange. And so I feel like Mr. Caesar was smart. If I'm going to say, well, why didn't he pay any bills? Why would he be defaulting on things? I said that was actually the smartest thing to do. The difficulties he would have faced. Now he's already going to face them, but I mean this in a way by which most people who did Ponzi schemes and people who um, use the money in that real time to pay off their homes, to buy cars, to take vacations, they then in turn are able to track the assets and say, oh, okay, this was around the time he took this amount from this person, that amount from that person, and you're using that money to pay your mortgage, to finish paying off your cars, whatever. I feel like if I'm going to think about it from a perspective of, was it really a dumb thing to do, to say, how did you embezzle or get all this money from people? Because in a way it's embezzling as well, just not from like a specific company, but from people, that you're taking this money and now you're paying off your car and all of these things. That's actually the thing that you don't want to do, because even with Bernie Madoff, you live in this lifestyle, you can pretty much tie the fact that all the money that was coming in was to fund the lifestyle. Nobody showed a video where Mr. Caesar lived. I don't recall seeing that in any clips. Maybe I'll have to search. And if you were to go now and listen to this particular um, YouTuber, and somewhere in the video they're showing, I guess, the financial records or statements, and him showing that this guy has defaulted on all of these things that belong to him, like houses and cars, as I've said before. That was actually a smart thing to do, because once all of those things go into default, then you can't like seize the properties and sell it off and pay people back. You can't say that when he took money from this particular man with his wife and child, that was that particular person's $200,000 that went into paying off this. See, it was actually, in my opinion, a very smart thing to do if he was really trying to get away with something, because what it shows is that you really can't track anything. You have money that you cannot even, you can't, you can't tie to anything. And even if they were to find him, they wouldn't be able to track the money, because apparently he hasn't put the money anywhere. He hasn't bought anything with it. They can't see or find anything at the moment that shows something that he purchased the money with. So I think he deliberately let everything go into default. I think he deliberately not paid anything, because that would make more sense, in my opinion. Now, I will say that what I do find interesting about this situation is, we know we're dealing with Hollywood, and we know that as the same as with the situation I'm going to post a part two.